Witch Queen is just days away, and with it we've got so much new stuff to look forward to. New activities, a new season, and plenty of new enemies to face in the form of Savathûn's Lucent Brood. But one of the most interesting aspects arriving with this new year of content is the complete rework of the Void subclass. So to help prepare any Warlocks out there for these new challenges, I've got a really fun build to share with you guys. This build is absolutely fantastic for any activity involving plenty of ad clear, like Nightfalls, Dares of Eternity, and even some raid encounters like the ones in Vault of Glass. And while this build can be easily adjusted to work effectively with pretty much any of the light subclasses, and maybe even Stasis, I'm going to be showing you specifically how to build it for Void so that you can use it as a groundwork for the aspects and fragments coming with the launch of Witch Queen later this month. So to start off, the main thing this build revolves around is the exotic helmet we're going to be using, Verity's Brow, and its perk, the Fourth Magic. Verity's Brow was added to the game back in D2's Warmind expansion, meaning it's now available for all players regardless of what expansions you own, so any free-to-play players out there can also try and recreate this build for themselves going into the new season. For those unfamiliar with this exotic, final blows of a weapon that's damage type matches the player's subclass will grant them up to 5 stacks of the buff Death Throws. While active, grenade damage and regeneration rate is increased based on the number of stacks. In addition to this, throwing a grenade while Death Throws is active will grant nearby allies increased grenade regeneration for a short time. By itself, this exotic is pretty great for general ad clearing and PvE content. Grenades are one of the best tools available to the Warlock, especially with the Void subclass, allowing you to empower or devour your grenades. Having them regen as fast as possible can give you that extra healing or damage whenever needed. And yes, I'm willing to bet that both of these will still be possible with Void 2.0 in one form or another. Hell, there might even be new uses for grenades coming for Warlocks, so keep an eye out for that. For Verity's Brow to even work, your weapon's damage type needs to match your subclass. So in your kinetic slot, you can run whatever you like for this build. I tend to run something with special ammo like a shotgun because it can help deal damage to any larger enemies you might come across. Or even something like a grenade launcher with blinding nades can really help control ads. Your energy slot is where things get important though. Make sure you're running a Void primary in order to get as many kills as possible and help activate Death Throws. Gnawing Hunger would be a great choice with Subsistence, and something like Rampage or Multi-Kill Clip. Or if you really want to get nuts with grenade energy, it can roll with Demolitionist. I tend to prefer something like Rampage though, just to help me get those final blows more consistently, but it's down to personal preference. Last Perdition is a fantastic pulse rifle already, but Bungie recently announced in a TWAB that legendary pulse rifles are getting a damage buff in PvE, making this an even more viable choice. Any roll you can get with Rampage, Kill Clip, High Impact Reserves, or even Headseeker is going to be pretty good here, especially if you can pair any of those up with Outlaw. Primary exotics are also getting a damage buff in Witch Queen, so weapons like Graviton Lance and Le Monarch could be fantastic fits for this build, especially considering their potential for damaging large groups of ads altogether. There's also plenty of new and old weapons being added with the new season and expansion, and it's too early for me to recommend anything specific, since we just don't know, but with the new crafting system, definitely keep an eye out for anything you might want to run here. Lastly, for the heavy weapon, you're once again going to want to run something using Void damage. If you haven't already used up your exotic weapon slot, I'd highly recommend Deathbringer. Especially with the Catalyst and a bit of practice, this weapon can wipe out whole groups of enemies in seconds, which is really going to help you build up that Death Throws perk. That said, if you haven't got Deathbringer or are looking for a non-exotic to use, there's plenty of alternatives. Swords like Falling Guillotine and the Other Half, rockets like Royal Entry. As long as you can get plenty of kills of it and it's dealing void damage, it's gonna work great for this. Moving on to armor mods, you're gonna want to run Elemental Ordnance. This perk creates void wells on grenade kills, which is going to help you and your fire team start building up your ability regeneration faster, allowing you to throw more grenades, so it's a great thing to have on this build. Next is Elemental Armaments. This is going to have a chance to generate even more Void Wells on every Void weapon kill, including from your heavy. These wells are going to be especially important for the next mod, Font of Might. Any wells that you pick up matching your weapon's damage type will increase its damage for a short amount of time. And this is pretty much the meat of the build. The more kills you get with your Void weapons, the more grenades you'll earn, so the more wells you'll create, boosting the weapon damage to get even more kills. The build is designed to constantly feed itself in that cycle. There are, however, 2 more spaces left for the final slot mods on your armor. These are mostly going to depend on preference as well as what activity you'll be playing. Personally, I like to run Seeking Wells and Font of Wisdom in the last 2 slots. Seeking Wells allows me to grab any Void Wells I create without having to run into a group of enemies and risk getting killed, and Font of Wisdom just allows me to earn my super faster, which is great for Nova Bombs. But instead of those, you could run Charged with Wells and Protective Light if you were looking to run this in more difficult content. Or maybe something like Elemental Time Dilation to keep your Void weapon buff lasting a little bit longer. You can also get Enduring Wells to help them stick on the ground a little longer before they despawn, or Well of Tenacity, which grants 10% damage resistance for a short time after collecting a Void Well. And that's it, that's the build. I hope you guys enjoy trying it out. It can definitely be a lot of fun with a fire team that's also generating Void Wells to help out. And I'm excited to see how this build could be pushed even further, with the changes to the light subclasses going forward, as well as other seasonal armor mods we have yet to see. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe for more Destiny 2 content, and if you found some cool additions to add to this build, especially ones possible with the Void 2.0 changes, let us know in the comments below. I can't wait to see what you Guardians are capable of. Until next time, I've been your host Mallow. Thanks for visiting the Starcade.